get some idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else from the public coming up, I'll take this back to council. There was some issue over health.
Sure.
It is, I think there's is there radiation emitted from this, the top of the pole, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's my understanding that the reason that they're looking at multiple locations more than you see the existing cell towers is because the energy being generated is significantly less, and it doesn't have the range of all the existing cell sites that you see around town. I have not seen a specific health study on this particular issue. I'm not sure if one exists. If Mobility or AT&T has one, I'm sure they'll be happy to share it with us.
So the amount of radiation is actually less.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
But I am not an expert about
Yeah.
cellular phones or 5G.
Okay.
Ms. Rands asked a question about where they would go. Basically, they could go anywhere in the city. The intent was not to restrict it to arterial streets versus residential streets. It's wherever there's a need for them to put in a new small cell antenna, we would allow them to do that, providing that there's power that would actually do that. It'd be first come, first served, but I believe there's also a provision in there that allows shared use if it's not overly large or too tall, doesn't exceed the standards that will be adopted as part of this process. But I would guess most of them are going to want their own poles. As a general rule, they'll probably be installing a brand new pole because the only way they could use an existing pole is they'd have to expose all the structural aspects of the bolts that are down there, run the calcs on the wind load, the seismic loads. It'd be much easier just to put in a new pole, which is what Crown Castle did. They just said, we'll just put in our own poles because then we know they're good, and it's designed from scratch to support their facilities. So I imagine 99% of the time you'll be looking at a brand new pole and a brand new, probably LED light. Well, they're all LED lights now, but most of them are, 4,000 or so. And what was the other one? In terms of mobility, we talked to one of the vendors. I'm sure that every vendor is going to have a little bit of a concern. It would be nice to move forward with the basic template, and then if we sit down and negotiate with them, there's a provision in there that allows us to make some minor changes if it doesn't significantly change the agreement. We'd like to move forward with that so we can keep the process going, but we'll be happy to bring it back again if that's council's direction.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, it's also important to know that this is for the public right-of-way, so there was a concern about, somebody's backyard. That's not the case here.
I'm sorry.
And,
Got that.
yeah, so the only other question then also is in the staff report, it does identify a fee schedule. The Collier's report that was referenced by the mobility